One of the hardest things, guys, with a relationship is when you meet the person, it's usually going to be on fire, because there's going to be a desire to fill the space that the person's been missing during the other relationship that they've had or are having. A lot of these people monkey branch into new relationships when they know they very well shouldn't. And you could get caught up with one of these people, man, and that's going to really do some damage. There's going to be a strong appetite. New things usually will cause heightened erotica, if that's what you want to call it, heightened sexual activities. But that doesn't mean it's going to stay that way. Just because something starts that way doesn't mean it's going to remain that way. And this is where people get deceived. And because the impact of the initial encounter with the new person translates as something extraordinary, then there's a commitment, there's a devotion that's caused out of the way that we're made to somebody usually that we don't even know. If that be the case, if you know, this is what casual sex does to people. And I've met many women that have told me stories that they've met this person, blah, 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 they've fallen head over the heels, and the next thing that other person's disappearing, they're not answering calls, they're not there when they need them, they're not the same person that they met. All these stories, they'll tell you, and the fact of the matter is, they've been deceived. They've been deceived by their lust, the Bible says in Ephesians chapter 2. Their lustful deceit has deceived them. Yeah, that's what happens. And it happens to all of us at different points and different times. So just because you meet someone and there's fireworks and all the rest of it, that's no guarantee that as time passes that the person's going to stay that way. You need to allow time, and you'll hear a lot of the counselors and coaches tell you this. You need to allow time, but lust deceives. The Bible says we're deceived by our deceitful lusts. And it's harmful, because once you consciously devote yourself to somebody, consciously decide that you want to be loyal to this person, and you're missing all the danger signs that this person's trying to show you, because a lot of the time these people, they'll give themselves away. If you're aware of what's going on, they will give themselves away that something's not right. And because you've been knocked off your feet, all of a sudden, you become blind to the warning signs that are taking place. I've had women say to me, I've been told I'm a witch, I've been told I'm a slut, I've been told I'm Jezebel. That was a good one. I've been told I was Jezebel. And you think, no worries, she'll be right. But sure enough, one way or another, it manifests. So you need to listen to the messages that these people are trying to share, what they're trying to tell you about themselves that's not positive. And in a way, they're trying to get you to go away. So that you can end on a good note, and you won't see that side of them. But we don't go away. We push on, we struggle on, we think everything's all right, and the other person's looking at us, usually wondering, well, what's the big deal? Yeah, that's what happens. The next thing you know, the text messages aren't getting answered without any legitimate reason. The person's starting to go missing. Oh, they've got to be home for this or that. And they're just not into the relationship the way that you are. But no, we think if we try harder, that's going to make it better, or that's going to change things, but it just doesn't. See, in relationships, it's not a matter of the harder you try, the better it'll become. That's not true at all. The relationships remain steadfast, built on the attraction and the performance of each person in it. And there's a culture in our societies now and in people's minds of, I couldn't care less. And a lot of people don't. They don't. When the relationship's coming to an end, they know they can get on all right by themselves. And in some cases, they prefer to be on themselves. A lot of these by themselves. A lot of these people come out of their caves only to find sex, only to have casual sex, and that's all they want. And then they go back to their cave. Right? And let me just say, just because you think you're exclusive with somebody doesn't mean that they're going to do the right thing. Being exclusive is just a person's way of saying, well, I won't have sex with anybody else, but I'll do everything else around besides that. And you never get a full commitment. See, so when somebody says, you know, let's have an exclusive relationship, you be my girlfriend and I'll be your boyfriend, that doesn't guarantee anything. That doesn't promise you anything in the long run, because as the relationship goes on, you're going to see the true nature of who that person is. We're not culturalized to accept that if we're doing the right thing and the other person doesn't, that's okay. We're not culturalized for that. We're culturalized to believe that if we're making the effort, so must the other person, and if they don't, there's something wrong with them. And we've forgotten that people don't have to stay around. Even in marriages today, they just don't stay around. There's always something pulling the other person away, or there's some other temptation that's pulled them away. And we're not equipped to understand that. Again, as I said, if we think we're making the right effort and doing the right things and, you know, playing our part, that the other person will do the same. No, that doesn't happen, unfortunately. It just doesn't happen anymore. So you need to be aware. You need to be in a mindset that understands that not everybody is going to follow through in a relationship. You need to understand that that's okay. That's part of the way things are now. And as, or if, hopefully not, but as that person starts to disintegrate, or what do they call, devalue, which is a narcissism personality trait term, where you get devalued, the person's starting to draw back, disintegrate from, not show the same amount of interest within the relationship. You need to know those signs, and if you know those signs, you can protect yourself. You can detach from that person in unison with their lack of proper behavior. You detach. As the behavior starts to disintegrate, so does your commitment, and you'll find that the relationship will ultimately come to an end. Because once somebody pulls the plug out of it, that's it. It's said and done. And you need to move on, leave that person alone, they'll leave you alone, and never, ever, ever, ever go back.